Hi, Ryan here, and welcome to the YouTube home of Novelists Inc., NINC, the organization for career novelists where the average member has published more than a dozen novels and where many members are national bestsellers. On this channel, we talk about the craft and business of writing. Today, we're talking with Betsy Wollheim, who's the publisher and editor-in-chief at DAW Books. Located in New York City, DAW has been publishing award-winning and best-selling science fiction and fantasy novels for over 50 years. Betsy has received 2 Chesley Awards for her achievements in art direction at DAW, as well as the coveted Hugo Award for Best Editor. She is also a recipient of the World Fantasy Award for Lifetime Achievement and the Skylark Award for Lifetime Contributions to Science Fiction. Authors who Betsy has edited include Patrick Rothfuss, Tad Williams, Nnedi Okorafor, Saladin Ahmed, Mercedes Lackey, C.J. Sherrill, and Kristen Britton. In this interview, Betsy talks with NINC member Laura Resnick about writers, agents, the publishing landscape these days, what readers are buying, and why she thinks ebooks will save the publishing industry. Enjoy. While Novelists Inc., NINC, strives to provide accurate and helpful information, NINC does not assume any liability for or endorse any opinions, advice, instructions, products, errors, or omissions in the following video. Viewers are solely responsible for how they interpret and apply any NINC content.
Record to the Woo! All right, hello. We're here with Betsy Wollheim, who is the publisher of DAW Books. Betsy, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate the time.
My pleasure.
So just to get started, can you give us like a little bit of background on DAW? It's one of the oldest, most prestigious science fiction fantasy houses, and kind of the current structure of how things operate at DAW.
Well, DAW was founded in 1951 by my father and mother, and I was also an owner, but I was in college. My father would send manuscripts to college for me to read. I read the first C.J. Cherry and the first Tanithly we got when I was in college. But before that, my father was the editor-in-chief of Ace for almost 20 years. And before that, he was the only mass market editor at Avon Books. And before that, he was a pulp editor. So our entire family has been in this field forever. And my father started DAW in 1971 when Ace was being mismanaged. And he just wanted to work on the books that he loved, which was science fiction and fantasy.
And DAW stands for Donald A. Wollheim.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So when did you join the company in a more full-time way?
In October of 1975. So 4 years after it was started.
And then when did you finally take over the company? Because you've been the president of the company for a long time now.
I took over in 1985 after working under my father or with my father for 10 years and mostly learning what not to do because I had a very different point of view than my dad did. He was a very old-fashioned editor. And so after working with him for 10 years and observing him, I took over the company in 1985 and I initiated the hardcover list because DAW was only mass markets, only mass market originals. So, we had no hardcovers and we really were behind the times at that point. So in 1985, we published our first 2 hardcovers and we've been publishing hardcovers ever since. And now that we're at Astra, people will no longer carry mass market books, which is kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Because if I have 3 copies of a book and I offer, a friend a copy of a book, they always take the mass market, throw it in their bag and just leave. It's so much easier to deal with.
So for our audience, I want to specify mass market are kind of the small paperbacks that have been sold in wire racks and bookstores and things for time immemorial, the small, cheap paperbacks. And one of the things I wanted to ask you about, it's on my list, is it has recently been announced that a lot of distributors and stores will no longer carry mass market paperbacks.
That is true. And that is the real reason why we're not publishing mass markets, because no one will take them.
Have you ceased publishing mass market altogether?
We will publish mass market for a few authors who sell a lot of books in that format, but mostly we will not be publishing mass market at all, just trade paper, hardcover and trade paperback audio.
And if for our audience, trade paperback are the big paperbacks, which has actually always been my favorite format. It's just the easiest to hold and carry around, and the pages don't rip out of the book on the second reading and all.
I totally
So how for you has the transition been going from moving authors? I mean, how is it affecting writers and publishers to basically be mostly shutting down mass market and moving people into trade paperback?
Well, a lot of my older authors were paperback originals, mass market originals. And mass market really didn't start until the 40s. So it isn't time immemorial. Actually, it's pretty modern. It's less than 100 years old. So mass market is kind of a new format. It took over from pulp magazines. And it was always sold in the manner of magazines. So there was no return. There were no returns. It was very bad. It's very bad for publishers, very bad for trees, really, really bad for the ecology of the world. And so they would rip the covers off of an unsold book and then send back just the cover for a complete refund, which is the way magazines are sold. Because after all, a magazine is a weekly thing, and after a week, it's out of date. So that's how mass market books were sold, and that is a terrible way to sell books. It's extremely unecological. And however, some of our old authors are complaining because their royalties have diminished because they have no mass market books anymore. So there's that, but we have to make sure that all of these previous mass markets are now transitioned into trade paperback.
And a question about that is that just a natural transition for the author and the audience, or are there some people who they're not going to sell in trade paperback?
You know, that's a big question that I think we can't really answer at this point, because the demise of mass market is reasonably recent. It's in the last few years. We have yet to see, but we have been, slowly transitioning. It's hard with a very long backlist. Like, for example, C.J. Cherry, many books. Mercedes Lucky, many books. We had to do them one at a time or one trilogy at a time, present it that way.
So this is really kind of a big restructuring in terms of distribution for a publisher.
It is, yes. Yeah. And I mean, last time I went to the airport, which was just a few weeks ago, I noticed in every single bookstore there were no mass markets. None. Not even one. Not even Stephen King.
So this is interesting. When I started researching about mass market was in July. I went on a bookstore crawl for a day with friends. It was something we had planned. We went to a bunch of different bookstores, local independents. And our goal was, let's buy at least one book at every one of these bookstores, each of us, and just support bookstores and have a day out. I realized at the end of the day, I had not seen even one mass market paperback all day. And these were stores that were genre friendly, mystery, science fiction, romance, not even one. That was a big shock.
It's a shock. It's a shock. And I think a lot of people are very sad about it, honestly. But if the booksellers won't carry them, we can't publish them. It's very simple. It's not our choice, really.
Has this also moved you more into hardcover, or is it really just trade paperback taking over from mass market?
It's trade paperback taking over from mass market, but we publish every book we think we can sell in hardcover. And I've been noticing something really encouraging in the genre, and that is a fancy hardcover. We'll sell. I mean, we have a book for $30. That's just a regular hardcover. And then we have a fancy version for $40 that sells more than the $30 one.
So describe what a fancy hardcover is.
Like, it'll have internal art. It'll have, end papers. It's just, maybe it'll have a ribbon.
It'll be more like a specialty edition.
Specialty editions. But we're publishing specialty editions and still keeping the hardcovers in print. So that's really cool. I really like it that people are wanting beautiful hardcovers. That makes me happy.
So that is something that as a national publisher, you guys are getting into. Like, I have only previously known like small specialty presses to get into that.
Yeah, no, well, small specialty presses, and we deal with, Sean Speakman all the time, for example, at Grim Oak, usually publish maybe 1,000 copies. So that doesn't really have any effect on our sales because it's a very small market.
So, one thing I wanted to ask you about, and I think it probably fits into this talk about how ecologically and logistically impractical mass market has been in a way, is you are one of the few publishers I've ever known who said to me several times over the years, ebooks will save publishing. I want to know if you still think that and why, because so many publishers are so negative about ebooks.
I don't understand why they're negative. I really don't, Laura. I think ebooks are about 40% of our sales,
Mm-hmm.
and they've remained pretty steady at 40%. They haven't taken over and are 80% or anything. So we're still selling a lot of paper books. And I think people are realizing that paper books are more restful for their eyes, but there's no doubting that you can download 100 books on in e-reader and just go to Europe with it.
Yes.
It's a huge advantage. And ebooks, if we print a book, it's easy to make an ebook because we already have the cover, we already have the design, we have everything done. So putting it in doesn't cost very much, but the paper costs have risen so much that without I don't know if publishers would exist. I'm being completely honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Ebooks really help our bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how anybody could hate them except to love paper books.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore hate non-paper books. But I don't think it's really hurt paper books. I think it's helped reading.
Mm-hmm.
People are reading more. It's easier to read. It's cheaper. And it's great for publishers because it brings in income to support the cost of paper. The cost of paper is astronomical. Without ebooks, I seriously doubt a lot of books would be published.
Do you have like a little more you can say about the cost of paper? I think it's something a lot of people don't realize.
Well, the cost of paper is one of our greatest costs.
Mm-hmm.
And producing, which is why I think fancy hardcovers are making a comeback, because if you're going to pay for the paper anyway, you may as well have a beautiful package and be able to charge $10 more for it.
Mm-hmm.
But paper has been a problem for decades. The cost of paper, and it's because it's from trees. It's natural, and there's a limit. It's a limited resource, and also, from what I understand from years ago, I have no idea how it's done now. Paper is bought in bulk. You buy wood rag basically in a bulk, and you create the paper, but it's by hundreds of tons. So the big 5 publishers get a better deal than the smaller publishers do to buy paper.
Yeah.
That's pretty much true on about anything.
So in terms of packaging, DAW, I assume, is still working with illustrators for covers?
Illustrators aren't as commercial as they used to be. I mean, it used to be that a gorgeous Michael Whalen cover would sell a book. Now, well, Michael Whalen is pretty much retired. He's done, fine arts. And I'm glad he painted when he did, because now, we aren't using as many artists. We're using more graphic designers who create elements, because that's what seems to be selling. Of course, there are series which have, illustrated covers, and they will continue to have illustrated covers.
So I have been reading kind of very uplifting pieces in the last few months that Barnes and Noble is opening more. Barnes and Noble's opening more stores. Independent booksellers. The stores are thriving. How do you see the kind of book distribution and bookstore landscape for you guys as a publisher? How do you see that going? Do you think it's improving, static?
It's improving. It was worse when Barnes and Noble, we thought we were going to lose Barnes and Noble. That was horrifying. And now that Barnes and Noble is coming back to the fore, I think everybody is really thrilled.
Okay, that's good news.
And they're doing special editions of certain books that they decide they like. That's really wonderful. So that's just a special Barnes and Noble edition, and it's wonderful.
It seems like good news. This guy, James Daunt, who I've written about a few times in my column, kind of really has just revived that whole company in terms of their bricks and brick and mortar stores.
Yeah, no, we love him.
And what is sort of the state of the science fiction fantasy genre these days in terms of what do readers want? What do you see readers gravitating toward?
Well, I have seen so many trends in the field and so many people jumping on bandwagons that I try to stay away from what the field is into. I've always published some fantasies that had romance in them.
We get asked a lot in Novelists Inc., where we are all multi-published professionals. How does a writer break in? How do you make a first book sale? How do you get eyes? And I don't know, because when I started writing, I would type a manuscript on a manual typewriter and mail the paper, and things have changed a whole lot. So at your company, have you published new writers in the last year or two?
Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, I'm negotiating to publish Lynn Buchanan right now, and I will publish her. But I've also published Benjamin Lyer. He wrote his first book, The Failures. He's written in the middle of his second book, The Monsters, and the third book will be The Killers. And he's brilliant. And I always have been a sucker for good writing. My advice to writers, learn to write professionally at a professional level. Because if you can write, you can change anything. You can't write, you're totally screwed.
I think what you used to say to me was, if you're a good storyteller, I can fix like the little stuff. I can fix the other thing.
You have to be a good writer to be a good storyteller. I mean, don't you agree?
Yes, I do, actually. Yeah. So I think my sense of you and your company is that you guys acquire the books you love. You read a book, if you love it, you get behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So how, besides being a good writer, like what is the procedure when a brand new writer who's never published before, kind of the book, how does it come into DAW? How are those decisions made?
Well, one of the big problems is that there are more writers who don't have agents than there are who do have agents. It's almost harder to get an agent than it is to get a publisher. And we no longer read the slush. My 87-year-old husband used to be my slush reader at DAW when I owned the company. But now that I don't own the company anymore, we don't read the slush. And the last slush author I found, or Peter found and gave to me, and I really liked, couldn't find, I mean, even though she had an offer from a publisher, she couldn't find an agent. And 3 years later, I finally sent her to one of the agents I deal with all the time. And now she has an agent and now she's published. But I had to step in and actually send it to an agent, which is not a done thing. It really isn't.
And I think a lot of writers in general, even experienced writers, do find getting an agent even harder in a way than getting a publisher. I mean, that was my whole career.
Yeah, no, it's really
hard. Writers in that position. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really hard to get an agent, and a lot of the agents of my generation are older or retired or died or whatever, so there are a lot of younger agents that are really wonderful and they're coming up. I don't know too many of them. I know a certain number of them, but the ones that are very, very new, I don't know.
So now DAW is only reading agented manuscripts?
Yes.
So an agent, just kind of like walk us through that process. An agent contacts DAW, contacts an editor at DAW?
Yeah, contacts an editor at DAW.
And says, read this book?
Yeah, I mean, I get emails all the time, every day. I get emails from agents I've never heard of saying this is this kind of book, and they make a mistake when they don't attach the actual book, because I don't care what people say about the book. If the book doesn't say it to me personally, I mean, I have to read the actual writing. So in those cases, I will write to the agent and say, send the book. It's all about the writing. And they do. And often I'll find that books aren't that well written. But sometimes they're great.
So how many editors are in the DAW family now?
Right now we have Aranya Jane and myself and Madeline Goldberg. And we are hiring another editor, hopefully any minute.
So Madeline comes to you and says, I just read this book. I love it. What are the considerations next?
We talk about what position it would have, what appeal it has, how much the agent wants for it. Is it an auction? Are there other people involved?
Mhm.
It's a very complicated issue.
Mhm. But the main thing is that the editor who gets that book at your company just needs to love the writing.
Yes.
Okay.
Love the writing, love the story, love the idea, love the characters. And if they don't, they need to love it enough that they're motivated to help the author change what they don't love.
Mm-hmm. So I think that was all of my questions. I wonder if there's anything you can think of that you'd like to add.
I don't know.
Can you maybe talk a little bit about what you guys have coming out this year that you think people should really watch out
Oh
for?
God, that's terrible because my brain is in 2027.
What's coming out in 2027? Because this video will still be online.
I know, but I do not have the list. I used to have like cards on my wall when I went into the office. Now I don't go into the office, and I just email my wonderful co-publisher and executive managing editor Josh Starr, who is the best. I've been working together for almost 20 years. I adore him. He's the best. And
So can you talk about some writers you're working with now, you as an editor?
yeah, I'm working with Benjamin Lyer right now. That's not his real name, obviously, but as he says in his bio, you still shouldn't believe what he says.
That's
But,
good.
he's written a book that is more original than anything I've read in decades. I have to tell you.
Is it out yet?
Yes, The Failures by Benjamin Lyer
The
is out.
Failures.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
it's remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
It's so complicated that even though I've been in this business for over 50 years, it's so complicated that I didn't understand the world. I really didn't understand how it fit together. And he was holding his cards too close to the vest. So I had to basically pull those cards away and basically say, all right, I still don't understand. But even not understanding what the whole concept of this book was, I read 500 pages. That never happens. That's how good his writing is. And he's gotten like the best fantasy, best debut for all sorts of podcasts, which is amazing.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, but it's a book that requires brains, and a lot of people like books that don't require brains. So
Yeah, I think they call them beach reads or this or that. And
yeah, well,
I'm like, if you have to go to the trouble of reading, I'm happy to think about what I'm reading.
yes, I mean, if The Failures is a real science fiction and fantasy book, the way it used to be, really deep, intense, complex, original, and it's fantastic. And I'm very excited about working with him right now.
Well, it is great to hear somebody in the business who is excited. So often I talk to people in the business and they're burned out and depressed and very negative. So, Betsy, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for talking to us. We hope that maybe in a couple of years we can ask you back and find out what you're working on then.
Well, let me just say, if I were a billionaire, I'd probably retire, but I can't even think about that because I am too loyal to my authors. I can't leave them alone. I really could never retire until I have to. Hopefully, I won't ever have to. But I really will never retire because of my loyalty to my authors.
It's really good to
I
hear.
can't abandon them. I can't abandon my authors.
And with the business being the way it is, that's important.
Yeah.
That's really important.
Yeah. So as long as there's a DAW, there'll be a Betsy. Maybe DAW will outlive me, hopefully.
Well, Josh is younger, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing you
Laura.
again sometime.
Yeah.
Hi, Ryan here again, and thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please remember to like and subscribe. This is a brand new channel. We'll be releasing a new video every week, and your feedback helps more people find us. If you'd like to know more about Novelists Inc. or DAW Books, we've put the links in the description below. Until next time, happy writing, everyone.